Am I the asshole for making my stepsister and stepmom look for my lost necklace? Throwaway cause relatives on Reddit. I, 17F. Have a necklace that was made for me by a friend who does wire wrapping. It's the prettiest thing I own and my friend moved last year, so it's my memory of her. My dad married his girlfriend last year and her daughter, 15F, and I don't get along. She's annoying and whines about everything, and she always wants to borrow my stuff and then loses or breaks it or something. My stepmom just enables that and gives her whatever she wants to shut her up. It's dumb. Anyway, she really likes my necklace, but I won't let her touch it because I know how she is. She wanted to wear it with an outfit for her birthday party at her dad's a week ago and I said no, so she whined to her mom, who told me to let her wear it to keep the peace. I told my dad and he said I didn't have to let her wear it, so I didn't. On the day of the party though, I notice it's gone from my jewelry box and stepmom admits she took it and let my stepsister wear it since it was so important to her. I was so mad. I was going to just tell my dad, but he was away for work for a couple of days and I decided to wait till he got back. Stepsister said she would give it back the next day, but I saw it in the floor in the bathroom that night and took it back before it could get broken. I decided to teach her a lesson, so I hid it and then asked for it back the next day. She couldn't find it, so her mom and her went through her room from top to bottom trying to find it, and when they couldn't, stepmom said she would buy me a nicer one to replace it. But I told her she can't replace something my friend made, and she stole something my dad already said I didn't have to share, and this is why I don't like either of them. My dad came home and found out what happened and had a big fight with stepmom about it. They're sleeping in separate rooms. Stepsister is grounded. I'm planning on finding the necklace, because the point is made. Most of my friends think it's deserved. But a couple think I should have just told my dad and not made them look for a necklace I already had back. Just a bit of advice for the future. Most of my friends think it's deserved. When you do stuff like this, don't tell anyone. Your friends could tell someone who then tells your family. Then the dollar hit will hit the fan and you will get in trouble. Learn how to keep a secret. Not the asshole it was taken without your permission and against the wishes of your dad, then was just dumped on the bathroom floor. I'd be inclined to say it maybe went a little too far. But actually, if it could mean the stepmom won't enable her daughter so much in future, it might work out okay in the long run. Not the asshole. Nothing wrong with a little petty revenge. You're not responsible for the fight between your dad and stepmom. She is. Your father is extremely justified in being upset. His wife and her child stole from his daughter. Doesn't matter if you found what she stole, she shouldn't have taken it to begin with. They both need consequences for their actions. Hopefully this teaches them a well-deserved lesson. But don't let them off the hook even after you refine the necklace. I'm going to get downvoted, but not the asshole. Step families can very often suck. Most teenage girls are tough. It is your necklace, and yours alone. I'd die on this hill and never let them know you found it. Not the asshole. And while I generally believe honesty is the best policy, never let on you grabbed it. Hell, don't be the one to find it. If you think they'll actually give it back, hide it in the laundry basket or something. Or hide it where your dad would find it first. You've made your point. Never let this cat out of the bag, ever, or your point will be undone and you'll definitely be the bad guy in everyone's opinion. She threw it on the floor and couldn't even remember throwing it on the floor. Lucky your dad has your back. The only bad thing is that it caused bad blood between your dad and his now wife. I guess the lesson was learned and they won't touch your stuff, and it's kind of the daughter who caused the fight because she couldn't accept a no. Boundaries has to be respected. And #X200B. Edited. Just reread the post and stepmom took it. So no reason to feel guilty. Mom stole from you and maybe thought she could get away with it. She thought she is above you and can do whatever she thinks is right. Yeah, they deserved a lesson. How else do you teach people from right to wrong when they can't accept a no? Not the asshole, you said no. She is 15 not 3, so throwing a fit shouldn't get her what she wants, especially when you had already said no. I would let them look for it, then, magically, find it in the bathroom under a rug or something after a week. Not the asshole. Well played. Am I the asshole for sharing a bed with my 20F brother, 26M? I know this story may sound absurd, but bear with me, please. So, I'm a college student and I've been living with my boyfriend, 21M, since last year. I'm attending an out-of-state university BTW. My brother had some business to do in a nearby city from today till Friday. He decided to take a little detour and arrive at my place on Saturday and spend the weekend with me, and then take an early morning flight to his destination on Monday since it's close by. I had a very busy and tiring day prior to his arrival though, so I told him that I was going to leave the door unlocked and he could just come in as I didn't want to be woken up. He was supposed to get to my apartment at around 6 a.m. My boyfriend left on Friday to spend the night at his parents' house because his mom was not feeling well. He knew that my brother was coming over. My brother arrives on Saturday at around 6:30 a.m. He tries to wake me up but to no avail. He tells me, "If you're not going to wake up, at least let me get into bed cause it's cold and I'm sleepy too." I say okay and he gets in. We immediately fall asleep. My boyfriend's yelling wakes us up at around 10:30 a.m. He starts saying how this is, basically cheating, asking if we had sex, if we're in an incestuous relationship, etc. That this is absolutely disgusting and mega inappropriate and other delusional things like that. I tell him that we've always shared a bed while living at home and that this is 100% platonic. He lets me know that we were snuggling under the blankets while sleeping. I tell him yeah, that's what people do when they share a bed and it's cold. I start to get really angry at him at this point for constantly trying to sexualize me and my brother's relationship, so I tell him that I'm going to spend the weekend with my brother at a hotel and until I come back he better learn how to manage this irrational jealousy of his. I'm back at my apartment now but my boyfriend gives me the cold shoulder. "Your boyfriend has seen too much incest porn. It is absolutely okay to snuggle a sibling when cold and in bed. Unless you guys were touching inappropriate places, it wouldn't bother me, on its own, if I were in your BF's place. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend though, sheesh. Not the asshole, this is his weird sexual issue. I guess it is privilege too. I mean it is really like only a few hundred years since every family lived in one room. No assholes here. Apparently I'm in the minority that I find it a little weird to snuggle with your brother in bed? NTA. Huge red flag. Dude accused you of incest. That would be a deal breaker for most people in addition to his jealousy. Not the asshole. But it's not exactly normal. My sister and I share a bed when visiting each other as adults but had our own beds at home as kids. We don't cuddle each other either, we keep to our sides. That being said, your relationship with your brother is obviously platonic and not even close to cheating. Your boyfriend was being an asshole and he might want to check his insecurities before accusing you of incest next time. Not the asshole. And what the fuck is wrong with your boyfriend? Not the asshole, but I am the only one who thinks it's kind of weird to snuggle with your siblings. Whenever my siblings and I were forced to share a bed we would literally build pillow walls to keep away from each other. Lol. Am I the asshole for my response when asked, why are you still single? I, 36-year-old single female, get asked this question a lot, and since it comes from co-workers, extended family, friends of friends, then responding rudely by saying, "None of your darn business, sweetie," still didn't seem to work. Not anymore. Lol. I try to keep good relationships with those around me for a number of reasons, but this question just pisses me off. Especially since the reason for why I'm single is pretty traumatic and so is very personal. They feel sorry for me. I can see it because they'd list all my good traits then say it's a shame that no man is willing to W in it. WTF? Unfortunately, I get caught off guard a lot by people, especially women, asking this question, but since I can't control the fact that they ask, I really wish they'd just leave me the heck alone. I decided to use this method that I came up with very recently. For example, if a woman asks why I'm still single, I'd just tell her, because I still haven't met your husband, boyfriend yet. While acting somewhat slutty in the moment. So far it seemed to shut them up. It's kind of passive-aggressive, yes. But I just feel some sort of power doing it. Well, few weeks ago, my sister introduced me to her boyfriend's sister, and once she sits down she asks, "How old are you?" I tell her and she gasps and goes on to ask, "Why are you still single?" I look at her and say, "It's because I still haven't met your boyfriend yet." She has a boyfriend, yay her, in the sluttiest tone I could muster while also pulling the duck face pose. She looks at me in utter shock, then puts her coffee down while my sister stares at me like WTF. Conversation gets awkward and minutes later she gets up saying she wasn't feeling well and leaves quietly. My sister blows up at me asking what the fuck I just said, and I start arguing with her about how this woman was a snoop. She told me to get over myself and act my age, and stop being childish, which she assumed is the reason why I'm single and will always be, cause no man wants to be with such a nutjob. Her boyfriend said I upset his sister and is expecting apologies from me because of what I said to her. So, am I the asshole? Lol. It's a bit cringe. But ultimately not the asshole. Esh. It's incredibly rude to ask someone why they're single, but your response is obnoxious and trashy too. Ma'am. I've been in the hospital for over a week and finally have regained enough dexterity to actually go on Reddit, and what do I find? This post. I needed that one. Not the asshole purely for it being a good one. Thank you. Not the asshole because those kinds of questions are bullshit anyway. Why are you still single? Equates to, what is wrong with you? And is completely different in tone and subtext to, I can't believe you're single. Everyone sucks here except sis and her BF. BF's sister for asking a ridiculous question. You seem to get asked this a lot. I can't imagine coworkers, friends of friends etc. asking here in England. You for responding in a way that you knew would upset everyone present. You are the asshole. I completely understand you. But that answer just make you come off as a trashy. You are the asshole. She's correct, you're being petty and childish. Say, that's a very personal question and I won't be answering it, and move on. Everyone sucks here. Why the hell people ask why other people are single I'll never understand, but being an ass back isn't really a good approach to make friends. More likely people probably think it as a compliment. Why is a person such as yourself still single could totally be a compliment. Am I the asshole for getting my neighbors fined by our WA, after they called my one problem a me problem? They're my direct next door neighbors. Many elderly, older couples live here, but there's been a rise in younger families with children. My family being one to purchase about a year ago, myself and my husband and our 2 young children. Our neighborhood has an WA. Generally they leave you alone if you don't cause any problems. Keep your lawn clean. Avoid parking on the street for extending periods of time. Don't paint your house a disapproved color. Have any work on your house approved beforehand, and you're golden. I've heard some horror stories about HOAs, but ours is relatively lenient. We have a good relationship with our neighbors, up until now. Our neighbor's house was robbed when they were on vacation about a month ago. So they've installed security cameras, a security system, security lights, etc. The problem is that one of their security lights shines into my son's bedroom at night. It's on constantly, but turns extra bright if it senses movement. Thing is, this light is the most sensitive light ever made. I swear just a little bug or some wind will set it off. It's bright as F, and wakes up my son, 4.5. Even with his shutters shut, because it is significant other bright. So after a week of this I went to my neighbors and spoke to them. The husband said to me, word for word, I'm sorry but that sounds like a you problem. I kept my composure and asked him if he had properly filed with WA before installing these new additions. He said it wasn't an addition, just some lights, so he didn't need their approval. I asked him to please just adjust the light that so it pointed away from my son's window, and he said no and asked me to leave. Mad as hell, I talked to my husband about it when he got home. He couldn't believe our up to now very nice neighbors would be that inconsiderate. So, we contacted WA. The very next day, I recognized the head of the HOA's car outside their house. I eavesdropped from our balcony and she's ripping them a new one. Apparently they had new windows and front door installed and didn't have it approved through WA beforehand. They also built an addition into their backyard and that wasn't approved either. So they'll be receiving several heavy fines from the WA, in addition to being required to adjust their security lights as to prevent them from disturbing neighbors. His wife came over yesterday and laid into me about the fines we imposed on them, and said we could have handled this without getting WA involved. I told her I tried to handle the security light issue with her husband but he told me it was a me problem. She insisted she knew nothing about that. I could hear them very loudly fighting shortly after. Apparently I ruined an important anniversary between them. I'm sorry, but that sounds like a you problem? Our other neighbors heard about it and today it's 50-50 me versus neighbor being the asshole. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You tried talking to him and being reasonable, and turned your problem into a bigger problem for him when he basically told you off. Sucks to be him. Not the asshole. You had no way of knowing all the other shit they did without WA approval. Their actions were negatively affecting your child, and they decided to be dicks about it when you tried to bring it up. You didn't ruin their anniversary, their marriage did. Okay, this is a pet hate of mine. When the consequences of people's own actions come home to roost and they try to blame it on everyone else rather than taking responsibility for doing it in the first place. You didn't make modifications without WA approval, they did. You didn't then ignore the politely raised concerns of your neighbor as to the impact of those modifications he did. Any and all consequences of those actions are on them. Not the asshole. It is too bad you didn't speak to both members of the couple, but you couldn't know they wouldn't communicate, so she wouldn't be able to talk more sense into him. You did try. Not the asshole. Not the asshole according to your neighborlights were your problem and you solved it the best you could. Not the asshole. You tried to solve the problem directly with the neighbors. The fact that they had done improvements to the house without WA permission sounds like their problem. HOAs are one of the dumbest things I ever heard of in my life. Why do Americans do that? Not the asshole, but, were you really wondering about this one? What else were you supposed to do?